My mother discovered that I had $127,000 on my bank statement. She is currently using my money to buy my sister a property. Hello, everyone. In a nutshell, today's story will blow your mind. If you like this content, please click the subscribe button. Recently, the channel has been a little quiet, but your support keeps it continuing. Let's get started. My mother's decision that my savings belong to the family. Original article. I, 32 am truly surprised by what just transpired. And I need some perspective. My mother, Patricia, 53F, and I have always had a good relationship, despite the fact that she may occasionally be intrusive. I grew up in a middle-class family with little resources, but my sister, Jennifer, 34F, and I never went without needs. For background, since I graduated 8 years ago, I have been employed in the software development industry. I made several fortunate investments, saved a lot of money, and lived simply. I purchased a modest 2-bedroom home in a respectable area last year. It's nothing special, but I'm proud that it's mine. My mom came over yesterday to assist me with organizing some tax-related paperwork. I left her in my home office and went out to get lunch for the two of us. She had this weird expression on her face when I got back, a combination of shock and something else I couldn't quite put my finger on. She was sitting at my desk. She held up my bank statement and said, "Michael, you had this much money. Why? Didn't you tell me?" I felt sick to my stomach. I never imagined she would look through my private papers. Therefore, I had placed the statement in a folder on my desk. My savings account balance was $127,000, according to the statement. I had meticulously saved money for emergency savings and future investments. "That's private financial information, Mom," I said, attempting to speak in a level voice. "That's not something you should be looking at." She dismissed it with a wave. "Away from your mom. Avoid being absurd." "But this is too much, Michael. While your sister struggles to make ends meet each month, you are hoarding money." I was totally caught off guard as I stood there with my lunch bag in hand. Although Jennifer's pay as a teacher isn't very high, she handles her money well and has never sought my assistance. "That money's for my future, Mom. Retirement, investments, and crises." Her laughter was not a joyful one. "You've got a home already. What kind of emergency would require more than $100,000? In the meantime, because she is unable to make a down payment, Jennifer wastes money on rent each month." From there, the discussion took a different turn. She said I was self-centered, had forgotten my roots, and believed I was superior to my family. She suggested that rather than hoarding wealth in my own property, I could assist Jennifer in purchasing a home, as I clearly didn't need all that money. I made an effort to clarify that my funds were well planned, that I had investing methods, and that I wasn't required to buy my sister a house just because I had money. However, she refused to. "Listen, I raised you better than this, Michael. Family helps family. You have more than enough to share. Now I'm sitting here feeling violated and guilty at the same time," she said, before leaving in a huff. Although I'm not sure if she's correct. I've been lucky, so I feel obligated to help my sister, but I'm also angry that she looked through my personal records and is now attempting to coerce me into spending my hard-earned money. Jennifer and I haven't spoken yet. I'm not even sure whether she is aware of this. My mother has been bombarding my phone with SMS about being morally upright and not being avaricious. Is it incorrect of me to wish to save my savings for the future? How can I deal with this without ruining my connections with my family? One update after 2 weeks. It's unbelievable that I'm back here with an update so quickly, but things have gotten worse than I could have ever imagined. Following my initial post, I followed your advice and made an effort to speak with my mother in a cool, collected manner. 3 days after the incident, I gave her a call and proposed that we have coffee to talk about privacy and limits. On the phone, she seemed remarkably reasonable as she agreed. I ought to have been more aware. When I got to the coffee shop, I saw my mother, my sister Jennifer, and my mother's sister, my Aunt Linda. An ambush occurred. They had even selected a booth in the corner where I would find it difficult to depart. Before I could sit down, my mother started talking about Michael. "We are here because we care about your direction and because we love you." The setup of the intervention style nearly made me giggle. The way to save money. Despite her uneasy appearance, Jennifer spoke out. "I was unaware of your funds until my mother informed me, Michael. I want you to know that I didn't request this." My mother, however, stepped in. "She shouldn't need to inquire. That's the role of family. We support one another." Aunt Linda added anecdotes about how my grandparents always supported their kids, how wealth should be distributed within the family, and how my generation had forgotten the importance of family. It was a well-planned assault on my decisions and character. When my mother took out her phone and showed me screenshots of real estate listings, I was really taken aback. "I've been doing research," she said with pride. She had been using my money to look for a house for my sister. "There are several suitable houses in Jennifer's school district. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, good neighborhoods. With your $127,000, you could put down 20% on a $300,000 house and still have money left over," I said, trying to contain my growing rage. "Mom, money that is not yours cannot be spent. Spending is not the issue." In response, she said, "It's an investment in family. Jennifer's rent is $1,500 per month. It might be used to pay for a mortgage. She would be able to create equity with your aid." At last, Jennifer raised her voice more firmly. "Stop, Mom. It's embarrassing. I'm not owed a house by Michael." However, my mom was having a good day. She had developed a comprehensive financial strategy. She had determined insurance premiums, mortgage payments, and even neighborhood selections. She had somehow obtained all of my financial data, including account numbers, investment portfolio details, and the balance. "How did you find out about all of this?" I insisted. She briefly had a bashful expression. "During dinner last week, you went to the restroom and left your laptop open. I just snapped a few pictures to better grasp your predicament. I was ill." She took pictures of my confidential financial information while purposefully prying into my computer. She took hold of my arm as I got up to go. "I've already advised Jennifer to start taking things seriously, Michael. Don't back out now and ruin our reputation." "What are you backing out of? I never consented to anything." I walked out as the conversation came to a close, and my mother called me to complain about my selfishness and disappointment. Later, Jennifer apologized to me via text, stating that she attempted to inform our mother that this was improper, but was overruled. The worst thing is that my mother has been bragging to my relatives about how wealthy I am and how I won't support my sister. Aunts and relatives I haven't spoken to in years have sent me texts. Some were encouraging, while others said I ought to share my benefits. I've frozen my credit, updated all of my passwords, and enabled 2-factor authentication on everything. Additionally, I'm thinking of completely changing banks. What irritates me the most is the invasion of privacy. She accessed my computer, grabbed pictures of my financial data, and is now attempting to use that information to pressure me into purchasing a home for my sister. I don't know. How did this family strife arise out of my desire to preserve money for the future? The second update. After my last report, 6 weeks later, I believed that things couldn't get much worse. I was mistaken. I got a call from an unidentified number 3 weeks ago. Susan, a real estate agent, called to confirm that we would be visiting homes for my sister. My mother had apparently provided her with my contact details as the purchase's financial sponsor. I apologized, telling her that there had been a mistake. "I'm not going to buy a house for anyone." Patricia stated that you had previously consented to provide the down payment and co-sign the mortgage, but Susan was professional, but perplexed. "On Saturday, we have viewings planned all day." I apologized for wasting her time, gave a brief explanation of the problem, and assumed that was the end of it. No, it wasn't. At 8 a.m. on that Saturday, my phone rang. My mother was there. Enraged, "You're where?" "For these viewings." Jennifer took the day off from work, and Susan replied, "You canceled. I have constantly stated to you, Mom, that I will not be purchasing a home for Jennifer. You're not paying attention to me, as evidenced by the fact that you scheduled viewings nevertheless. Not paying attention. I'm attempting to assist you in acting morally. Michael, when Susan called to inform me that you had canceled, you have no idea how ashamed I was that I informed Jennifer that this was at last taking place." She hung up on me at the end of the call. However, the following Monday was the true shock. Susan sent me an email with the subject, "Documents required for mortgage pre-approval." My information on half-completed mortgage applications is attached. My whole name, social security number, data about my job, and my pay. Jennifer's details were provided in the co-bearer section. My mother had attempted to use my information to begin a mortgage application. I called Susan right away to let her know that this was a scam, that I had never consented to any of this, and that she should destroy all records containing my information. She told me she would take care of it right away, but she was embarrassed. Then, scarcely able to control my anger, I called my mother. I said, "You tried to commit fraud without introducing myself. You gave someone my social security number and tried to apply for a mortgage in my name. It's not fraud." She responded with defiance. "Mom, That's actual identity theft. I could file charges. I was simply starting the paperwork to save time. You'd have to sign it later anyhow. Before she said, you'd have your own mother arrested over helping your sister. There was a pause in the conversation. I spoke with a lawyer friend who suggested that I send my mother a formal cease and desist letter, which I did, stating that any further attempts to use my personal information without my consent would result in legal action. The family exploded immediately, with my phone exploding with calls and texts. Some relatives were horrified by my mother's actions, while others thought I was exaggerating. My uncle Richard called to say that I was tearing the family apart over pieces of paper, and Jennifer called me in tears, saying that she had no idea about the mortgage application and was mortified, honestly believing that we were just looking at houses to get a sense of the market. Jennifer has been staying with friends because of the unbearable tension at home with our mother. I've had to take extra security measures, like installing security cameras at my house, opening a P.O. box for sensitive mail, and placing fraud alerts with all 3 credit bureaus after my mother told my aunt that she still had a spare key from when I first moved in. Last week, I discovered that she made a GoFundMe page called Help Jennifer Buy Her First Home, in which she detailed my excessive wealth and refusal to help. The most bizarre part is that my mother honestly doesn't understand what she did wrong. In her mind, she was just being a proactive mother trying to help her children. Before I reported it and had it removed, she had raised $450. I'm worn out. What began as her looking through my bank statement has escalated into family strife, public humiliation, and an attempt at identity theft. Although I like my family, I don't recognize the person my mother has turned into in an attempt to get my money. Update 3. 3 months later. This is my 3rd update, and I sincerely hope it's my last. The last 3 months have been a masterclass in how money can expose people's true natures. Approximately 2 weeks had passed since my last update, and I foolishly believed that my cease and desist letter had finally reached my mother. I should have known that she was planning something, but it was a Tuesday afternoon when I got a text from Jennifer. Please don't hate me. I just found out what Mom did. I'm so sorry. My doorbell rang before I could answer, and I saw my mother standing there with a man in a suit holding a folder through my security camera. I didn't answer, but I did watch them have a lively conversation on my porch before they left, and an hour later I got a call from a number I didn't recognize, so I did it against my better judgment. Mr. Thompson, this is James Morrison from Morrison Realty. I'm calling about the generous gift you're giving for your sister's home purchase. I have the contracts here, but I need to double-check a few things. What contracts? The purchase agreement for 421 Maple Drive. Patricia, your mother, said you agreed to pay the $78,000 down payment and closing costs. We just need your signature and proof of funds. I took a deep breath. Mr. Morrison, I'm afraid you've been misled. I have never agreed to purchase a house or provide any money for a house. Any contracts you have are fraudulent. There was a long pause, but we're supposed to close in 2 weeks. Your sister has already given notice at her rental. Jennifer gave notice. That's what your mother told me. I explained the situation as professionally as I could, and Mr. Morrison was understanding but worried about the legal ramifications. My mother had manipulated my sister into a terrible situation, and Jennifer had less than 30 days to find new housing because she believed our mother's lies. The confrontation with my mother was explosive, and I drove to her house that evening. And for the first time in my life, I truly yelled at her. You made Jennifer homeless. You lied to her, to realtors, to everyone. She tried to deflect. Michael, I swear I didn't know. Mom told me you'd changed your mind and wanted to surprise me. You felt bad about everything. This was your way of apologizing. The argument went on until my father, who had been mostly silent throughout the entire situation, finally said, Patricia, enough. You've lost your mind over this. If you just did the right thing from the beginning, there would be no right thing here. It's my money. It's not yours to promise, not yours to spend, not yours to plan with. Family helps family, she screamed back. Your grandfather would be ashamed of you. Our family is being destroyed by you. She immediately turned against him, saying he was siding with me and didn't care about Jennifer's future, but he refused to back down. Our son earned that money. It's over. The fallout was quick. Jennifer got a new apartment with friends' help, and even though the move cost her a lot of money, I offered to help with the moving costs. My mother has been telling everyone that I'm a greedy son who let his sister go homeless instead of sharing my fortune, and most of the family has realized my deceit, especially after learning about the attempted fraud and the phony house purchase. Last week, I got one last surprise. A certified letter in my mother's handwriting arrived. It contained an invoice for raising me, listing everything from diapers to college contributions, totaling $47,892. She stated that this was less than half of what I owed her and that I could pay the remaining amount by buying Jennifer a house. The ridiculousness of it all finally hit me, and I saved that letter. My lawyer says it might be helpful if she escalates further. As of today, I haven't spoken to my mother in 6 weeks. Jennifer has become closer to me during this ordeal, and she has apologized repeatedly for our mother's behavior and begun therapy to deal with the manipulation she has endured. My father calls occasionally, regrettably reporting that my mother is still convinced she did nothing wrong and that he is considering separation if she doesn't get help. The money that began it all is still in my account, still mine, and still growing through careful investment. I've learned that financial privacy isn't just important, it's essential. I was going to post another update, but I got a lot of messages asking for closure, and to be honest, writing these updates has been therapeutic. This is really my last update. For months have passed since my mother tried to use my money to buy a house. For months after she destroyed our family, over $127,000 that was never hers to claim. The conclusion to the story is not only depressing, but also somewhat hopeful. Last month, I got a call from my father, who sounded exhausted, even defeated. It turns out that my mother had been spiraling deeper into her obsession with my money, creating elaborate fantasies about what she could do with it and how she could help not just Jennifer, but other family members. She had spent hours calculating how to distribute my wealth among the family. The bank incident was a wake-up call for my father, who gave her an ultimatum: seek professional help or face divorce. Michael, my stomach dropped. What kind of episode? She tried to access your old savings account, the one from when you were a teenager. Security had to escort her out. The mother who went through my bank statements wasn't the woman who raised me. She was someone consumed by financial desperation and anxiety. She's been in therapy for 6 weeks now, and my father says there's been progress, though she still struggles to fully accept responsibility for her actions. The therapist has helped her understand that her behavior was a form of financial abuse and that her sense of entitlement to my money was a coping mechanism for her own financial fears. My mother was diagnosed with an adjustment disorder with anxiety triggered by financial stress she'd been hiding. Apparently, she and my father had been struggling with debt from some bad investments, and the discovery of my savings had triggered something in her, a desperate belief that all their problems could be solved if I would just share. This doesn't excuse her behavior, but it explains the sudden change in her personality. As she jokes that our mother's insanity taught her the value of financial independence, she is doing well in her new apartment and has begun a side business of tutoring students online to supplement her teaching income. 2 weeks ago, I received a letter from my mother. It was a genuine letter, not an invoice or demand, and it was brief. Michael, I apologize. I lost myself in fear and greed. Your money was never mine to claim or distribute. I'm working on understanding why I felt entitled to what you earned. I hope someday you can forgive me, though I understand if you can't. Mom, it's a start. I'm not ready to resume contact yet, but I appreciate the acknowledgement. My cousin Sarah joked that I should write a book called How to Turn Your Family Crazy with One Bank Statement. The drama surrounding the extended family has mostly subsided, though some relatives still believe I should have helped. My money is still there, quietly growing, and I've actually increased my savings rate, partly out of spite and partly because this experience taught me the value of financial security. I've also learned to be much more private about my finances. Only my accountant and financial advisor know my true net worth now. However, I did one thing with the money. I set up a small education fund for any future nieces or nephews. This is my way of helping family without enabling entitlement. Jennifer isn't aware of it yet. One day, when she has children, I will surprise her in a way that is genuine and not manipulative. This entire experience has taught me important lessons, such as the importance of financial privacy, the need to set boundaries that aren't cruel but necessary, the fact that money can magnify existing character traits, the need to mix family and finances carefully, if at all, in the unexpected ways that mental health can influence financial behavior. To anyone reading this who is dealing with family financial drama, remember that your money is yours, and you are not required to bankrupt yourself for family members who feel entitled to your success. You can help if you want to, when you want to, and how you want to. but never because you are being manipulated or guilt-tripped. And Mom, if you're reading this, I know Dad showed you my first post. I do love you. I hope you keep getting help. Maybe someday we can rebuild our relationship, one that doesn't revolve around my bank account. This is Michael signing off. May your families be supportive and your bank statements be private. The epilogue is posted in the comments. Since people keep asking, yes, I still have my $127,000. I would like to thank everyone who offered advice and support throughout this journey. Your perspectives helped me stay sane when I felt like I was going crazy. Actually, because of some wise investing decisions, it has increased to almost $135,000. Every Sunday, Jennifer and I have dinner together, and she has never brought up money other than to make jokes about our mother's house hunting phase. My parents are still together and are still resolving their differences. I have upgraded my home security system, adding motion alerts to the cameras, and investing in a very good safe because, although I believe in forgiveness, I also believe in protecting yourself. Sometimes family members get lost, and sometimes money drives them to do crazy things. But boundaries, therapy, and time can heal even the deepest wounds. Not all of them, not completely, but enough to move on. My mother has been diagnosed with financial anxiety disorder, and she is making real progress. She has even begun volunteering at a nonprofit organization that promotes financial literacy, teaching others about budgeting and the perils of financial entitlement.